Good morning. Good morning. Okay. So it's Monday morning. Monday morning, headed to work. Just wanted to chat with you for a minute about this topic on credit and getting your credit together, which is a huge topic. I mean, just to give you a little history of me, I just, and I'm not saying this like I'm so innocent and I just didn't know, but I didn't know the importance of credit, and I spent many years paying for that lack of knowledge, for that ignorance. It was ignorance. It was genuine ignorance. Like, I didn't know, like I wasn't taught, but it was also, I didn't want to know. I'll truly admit to that. I didn't want to know. In my 20s, I remember in my 20s, when I first started getting credit cards like everybody else. Well, I mean, some people get them in their teens, I guess, and, in their college and all, but I started getting credit cards in my 20s, early 20s, and I remember I had an American Express card, and I was like, oh, and I was very, very responsible. Making sure I paid my bills on time. I was very, very responsible and very organized with my finances and everything. And then I remember me and my girlfriend used to take we used to take a trip every year. We used to take a trip, like a trip to the islands, Aruba. We went to Cancun, and where else did we go? But anyway, we went on these nice trips, and for a young woman in her early 20s, it was a big deal for me. But I remember somewhere in that last trip, and like I said, I had an American Express card, and I would put it on my American Express. And American Express, I don't know, I don't have an American Express card now for that reason. But back then, and I'm assuming it's similar now, and I know there's different cards and different levels and whatever, but American Express back then, you had to pay off at the end of the month. So it wasn't like a credit line extension. It only extended me to, my payday or whatever. So I knew that. But we went on this last trip, and I charged, oh my God, I charged a bunch of stuff, and I couldn't pay it off, or I forget what happened. I forget really, but I remember that being the beginning of a little spiral for me with my credit. And from there, and that was, I'm telling you, I was in my early 20s. And from there, I never really fully recovered. I never recovered from that. It went on, and it got bigger. It got bigger and bigger, and I never fully recovered from that. If I can use this as my therapy, if I'm on a couch, somebody's couch, talking about credit, that last trip, and I forget which one it was, because we went to, like I said, we went to Aruba, we went to Cancun, and we went somewhere. We went on 3 trips. Not Jamaica, not one of those. Was it Jamaica? No, it wasn't Jamaica. But I never fully recovered credit wise, and I always struggled with credit, and so then I went into the bad credit category. And anytime I wanted to buy something, it was like, oh, well, you had bad credit. I remember once I went to buy what was it? It was a car. It was a car. It was my Honda. Well, no, I went to buy a car at this dealership. Went with my girlfriend. We had a whole setup, because the women. It's a fact. I'm sorry, it's a fact. Women do get treated different when they're alone. Unless you know what you're talking about, unless you have negotiating skills and all. And I knew I didn't have that. So I brought my girlfriend, who I felt she did. And we went in there, and, I think she asked me, like, how's your credit, girl? And I was like, oh, it's good. It's good. My credit is good. I didn't know what I had no idea what my credit looked like. I had no idea. But, oh, it's good. He ran my credit. And I was at that time, I was trying to buy I had to sneeze. Maybe not. Okay, so I was trying to buy, I was trying to buy something nice, and it was new, of course, because back then I only bought new cars. This is my first used car that I ever purchased. But what was I saying? So the guy asked me, the dealer asked me, the guy at the car dealer asked me how was my credit, and I was like, oh, my credit is good. It's good. Well, honey, he ran my credit. He ran my credit. He came back over and he looked at me. He was like, and see, this is the part, this right here. This fool said to me, you will never be able to get, a car, the car you want with your credit. Like, he talked to me any old kind of way. I mean, when we first walked in, it was like, hi ma'am, how are you, blah blah blah, like all respect and everything. When he ran my credit, he talked to me like I was a piece of trash, and that's I am not joking one bit. He literally said to me, and every time I passed that dealership, I think they're not even in existence anymore, but there's another dealer there now. But I remember that feeling that he gave me, that I was unworthy, that I was a piece of trash. He was like, oh, you would never be able to get any level of car that you think you want to get. And I was just like, wow, you really talk to people like that? Like, what? And so me and my girlfriend, and actually, and this is where I say, I was just as responsible for what happened next as he was. I still purchased a car from that fool, from that blankety blank blank dealership. Okay? I still did. Even though it's a crazy situation, it's a crazy story, but I'll give you the very short version. I purchased a car from there, a used car that I didn't want, with my bad credit. Now it's one thing that I have bad. Okay, I know I'm all over the place right now. I had bad credit. Okay, that was clear. But you don't have the right to treat me like I'm a piece of trash. That's my point. And so we've got to get our stuff together so that when we go into these establishments, we have options, and we're not like at the place on the corner where you can only buy a car from a guy that, anyway, that's a whole nother story. I'll tell you about that story later, where I bought a car from the guy on the corner, or the guy who owned a lot on the corner, who no credit check required. Right. You don't need a credit check when you buy a lemon off the lot. Yeah. Anyway, But this guy treated me like a piece of trash, and I still ended up buying a car from there because I thought that's the only option I had. Ended up taking it back after a couple days because I read the contract and I hadn't given him all the deposit. I hadn't given him 100% of the deposit, and it said until 100% of the deposit is given, you don't own nothing. And I was like, great, because I'm taking this crap back. So I took it back, and it was also, my mother had said, I thought you were buying a new car, and I was like, you're right. I said I was buying a new car. Now, meanwhile, I didn't go out and buy a new car and pay a crazy amount for it because my credit was not where it should have been. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. I got a lot of stories. But the moral of the story is get your credit together. And I know that's easier said than done. And I know somebody coming to you that you don't even know that's, saying that to you is pretty, but I'm telling you, I've been there. And if I can turn my credit around, you can too. But it starts from, it's like, where do you begin? And I'm not a credit expert. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about credit in terms of the actual mechanics of it and how to do it and all. But it's a mindset first. You got to have a mindset shift before you can do anything. You gotta have the mindset shift. And what I mean is, like, I would get, my bills would come in the mail and I would just throw that, I would see the name of the credit card and I would just throw it in the corner. Throw it in the corner. Throw it in the corner. I ain't paying them. I ain't got the money. Either I had the money, but I was going to spend it on something else. Just my mind was not right. And again, to go back to the education part and the ignorance part, I was never taught what credit, how credit works and how it stays with you. I just thought, I don't pay them, they don't get paid. Oh well. I didn't know that mess is going to mess you up when you need it. So, anyway, I mean, I could have stories for days. I lived for many years, way too many, without any credit. Like not using credit and not building credit. Cash and carry. Just because that's where I was. I couldn't get credit, and not knowing how to build credit. There's credit cards that you can get for, you can get a credit card and it'll have a $300 limit, and then you use it, you pay it, you use it, you pay it, and so on and so forth. I didn't know about them at that time, and even if I did, I didn't have $300 to just give a bank. I didn't have that kind of money. That was a lot of money to me. So, but if it's important to you enough, you will make it a priority. I did have $300, but I didn't think I had $300 because I was so busy doing other things. I was so busy over here, I was just so busy doing other things that I don't have that kind of money. Anyway, that's my story. That's my credit story. And like I said, it was a lesson, a lot of lessons learned. It was a long journey, but it actually, once I made up my mind about it, it actually wasn't that long of a journey as as you would think. It really wasn't that long of a journey. It was just getting my mind right. Okay.